All right. Hello and welcome. I am here today with the amazing Hannah Linder. I was telling her that I am like hardcore fangirling because I absolutely love her books. And so just being able to like see her in person and like, oh, she's real is so exciting. So I'm really happy that you guys are all here as well and that you guys get to meet Hannah. And if you haven't read her books, hopefully you'll be able to get started on that and that you will be on this Hannah train with me because I'm here for the long haul. And so I hope that you have plans for like lots more writing, but if not, I will just reread your books. It's totally fine. So Hannah, do you want to just like tell just a tiny bit about yourself and then we'll get in with some of the questions that way? That way we can just kind of get the ball rolling.
Sure. Well, I'm Hannah Linder. I write Regency romantic suspense books. Sometimes I get a lot of blank stares with that, especially with guys, because they're like, Regency, what's that? So I always say Jane Austen time period, but a little more on the darker side as far as the plot. So more like Gothic fiction. This was my debut novel, Beneath the Silence.
Yes.
And then When Tomorrow Came, Garden of the Midnights, and then this was my latest release, The Girl from the Hidden Forest. So those are my books. I live in West Virginia, pretty much in the center of the state, out in the middle of nowhere, which is nice. Lots of quiet for writing.
Yes.
As far as my job, I design book covers. So
Okay.
I work with publishers and individual authors, which is cool because you kind of get to experience two sides of the publishing industry. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to skip to one of the questions that I had because it had to do with the fact that you do the covers because So here's how I got started with you, Hannah, was I went to a free little library and I just randomly picked up a book because it's like, this was the first time I'd ever been to one, had really no idea what to expect from them. And I picked out a book based off of the cover alone. And it happened to be When Tomorrow Came.
Oh.
And I was like, this is such a gorgeous book that I'm way more excited to read it because the cover alone was absolutely stunning. And it's like definitely my style. And I even was like showing my husband Cody and was just like, babe, is this not gorgeous? And he was like, that's actually very pretty. And then I was like, well, I don't know who Hannah Linder is because I had never heard of you, anything like that. And so then I looked you up and it was like, oh my goodness, she's a Christian author. And I got even more excited because it is hard to find, like we were just talking a little bit, it's sometimes hard to find good Christian books or ones where there might be a Christian author, but like there's not necessarily faith involved. So it's really, really cool to see that you actually do include these things in it. But anyway, so I started reading it and absolutely was enthralled from the very beginning. Like the prologue of that had me at the edge of my seat and I was invested in this ride. But because of that, the cover was what got me hooked on you. And then I saw all the other covers and I was like, they're all gorgeous. And then someone mentioned, I'm fairly certain Hannah makes her own covers. Is that correct? You do your own?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. What a talent. Not only are you a great author, but you're also great at photography because those covers are gorgeous.
Thank you. I was really excited. My agent, she kind of worked all that out when I first was signing with Barber. And I was so tickled because as a cover designer and like as an author, I guess every author deals with this, but like I have specifically in my mind what the characters look like, the setting.
Right.
And so to try to like tell that to somebody else, another designer, and then like get what's in my mind, I feel like would have been really hard. But so yeah, I was excited to be able to do my own.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So did you do the cover art sort of stuff before you started writing, or was it the opposite? Did you start writing and then get into the cover designing?
Yeah, so I started writing first, and then when I finished my first book, I realized I needed a book cover for it. So I was like, okay, I'll just do this myself. And it was kind of funny because like one of the first book covers that I designed was square and my book was rectangle. I'm not sure how I thought that was going to work, but 12-year-old me thought that was somehow going to work out.
Oh my goodness.
I really enjoyed it. And in my teenage years, I really began seriously thinking about it and really feeling like that's a career option idea that I'd like to explore. So
Yeah, that is so awesome. You can come say hi real quick. Sorry, she wants to come say hi. This is Piper.
And I got a milk for Mom.
wow, that's cool.
Well, thank you.
Open it, Mom.
Okay. It is. Oh, it's actually a little mail thing. Well, what do you know?
Oh, that's cute.
Thank you,
It
Piper.
says, "Come to my birthday."
Come. Okay, you're officially invited to her birthday.
When is her birthday?
When's your birthday? It's March
Hello.
18th.
I'm gonna be 18.
No, you're not going to be 18. You'll be 5.
5?
Yes.
I'm already 5.
No, you're 4, baby. Okay, go play.
I want to be 16.
Oh, I am not ready for that. Okay, so you were saying that you were designing, or you did design your first book cover at 12?
Yes.
So you were writing at 12 or like beyond before that?
Well, I started writing at 11, and we watched Westerns when I was growing up, a lot of Westerns, like the old black and white ones. And so I was just obsessed with cowboys, the West, all that. And they'd always have on the episodes like the wanted posters tacked on like the saloon walls and all that. So I was like, I'm just going to start writing my own wanted posters. And I wrote probably like 50 of them, and I'd do like this little story on it of who the bad guy was, how much was out for his reward, and what he did and all that stuff. And I just really enjoyed like writing the characters and stuff. And then when I was 12, I started writing my first novel, and I wrote and self-published that at 12. Oh, I think I can't see you. Can you hear me? For anyone watching, we're having a technical glitch. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, hold on.
I was like, oh no, I don't know what to do.
There, let me do this. There we go. Okay, sorry. My camera, like I have it connected to my computer, and it was just like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and go to sleep and not wake back up. And it's like, oh, cool. And then my Wi-Fi was like, and we're done. So
yeah, it's all
I
good.
didn't hear what you were saying, but okay. Where did you exactly leave off? You were just kind of talking about loving Westerns. That's kind of what got you into it.
And I started writing the wanted posters and just writing like a little description of the bad guy, what he did, how much reward was out for him. And then at 12, I wrote and self-published my first novel, and I just really liked I feel like the wanted posters kind of like got me in the groove of like building characters and like making up stories. And so then when I actually started the novel, and it was like so much more freedom to just do anything, I was like, this is the best.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is so awesome, because it is very rare to meet someone who has actually like started writing at such a young age and then is continuing, because it's one thing for you to like it'd be interested when you're younger, but then so many other doors start opening as you get older, and so you're like, I want to just go through these other ones. So it's rare to see that. So that is wonderful, and it's amazing that you're continuing to write. But how did you go from Western to Regency? Because those aren't necessarily hand in hand.
I know. I know. Well, I continued writing throughout my teen years, and I bounced around a lot. I did a lot of Western. I did a little bit of contemporary, some medieval, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, changing it up with each book, trying to find which genre that I really felt like that I fit into the best. And then in 2019, I attended a writer's conference, and I had a 15-minute appointment with an agent, And I had 2 books that I was pitching at the conference, and one was contemporary and one was my first Regency. And I laid them out before him, and I was like, okay, I have a contemporary and a Regency. Which do you want me to pitch to you? And he was like, which one has your heart? And I was like, okay, well, it's definitely the Regency. And then the more we were talking, he just started explaining to me like the importance of picking a genre, sticking with it, and building your audience around one specific genre instead of doing the whole back and forth thing like I was doing. So I pretty much decided in that 15-minute appointment that I was just going to stick with Regency because I already knew I loved it. I love Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy, all that. So I was like, yeah, let's just go with it.
Yeah, well, and I'm so thankful that you did. That is definitely one of my favorite. Like you said, I'm obsessed with, well, basically any of the Jane Austens. I love all the Jane Austens, but I love mysteries. And so, of course, like mysteries that are set in that era, I'm all about. And that's something that I love with yours is you also have like the suspense side where it's kind of a mystery, not always like, murder mystery necessarily,
Right.
But I can say when Tomorrow Came kind of started off like this, where there's a little bit of a murder mystery happening, and I'm like, I was so intrigued because I wasn't expecting that at all, but I loved it. So, okay, so then what exactly made you want to start writing and not just like writing for fun, but I actually want to write and get my work out there in front of people?
So in the beginning, it was more just I enjoyed it. And so I wanted to finish my first book. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, I have another idea. So at first it was just kind of my goals were just like finishing each book idea. But then as the more I did it and like my family really took it seriously, my mom was really supportive. And it just became my dream to be traditionally published. I really wanted my number one goal from probably like 13-ish was to be able to walk into a bookstore and see my books. Like that was like the end goal for me. So that's kind of what drove me as I was writing, even though like I love the process, I love doing it, but that was kind of like the end goal that I had in mind.
Yeah. Was it the coolest feeling when you went to a bookstore and you saw your book?
Yes. It was crazy. It was like a pinch me moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like that. I was explaining to my friend. So my best friend and I were both obsessed with books, and that's probably why we're best friends. But we were at a bookstore, and I had seen one of your books, and I was like, Donna, this is Hannah. And I was so excited. But I was explaining to her like how interesting it is, even just as somebody who does like, I'll do ARC readings, and then you're in a bookstore, and after it's published, you see it, and you're like, wow, like, these are real, and like it's interesting because you were on the back side of it, it felt like, and now you're in the front of it. So I can't even imagine being an author who has to go through this super lengthy process. And it's not that it's like, very, very easy to get from one thing to the next. And I'm sure for the first time, your very first book, it was probably rather stressful trying to figure out the ropes and all that stuff. And you were quite young at that point. So, add that to it. But man, to then see it actually sitting there where everybody could just buy it. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was very exciting. It never gets old either.
Really good. Yeah. Good. I love that. So do you ever just like randomly go into random bookstores just to see if it's there?
Oh yeah, all the time. Especially anytime I'm in a new state or an area that I haven't been, I'm always like, let's go find a Books A Million, Gotta go sign my books.
I was gonna say, are you one of those random authors who will just go and sign your book and then put it back for someone to buy? Yeah, that's apparently a thing. I didn't know that until I started watching like people doing their, Instagram reels or whatnot about that. And I'm like, oh, I never really thought about that. But that's probably how I ended up with random autographed books and I had no idea,
Right.
So
cool. I
cool.
usually let them know at the front desk and then they'll put like the little autograph sticker on the front.
Yeah. So cool. That's so cool. I love that authors do that. I really do. Okay. And so let me see. We're kind of there. Do you have any influences in your writing? So like, is there specific authors or anything that you would say you probably pull from whenever it comes to this? Like, who would some of your favorites be with that?
Well, definitely number one would be Jane Austen because, every Regency author's hero. But as far as more modern authors, Michelle Greep and Julie Klassen are ones that I enjoy reading them. And I also feel like, especially maybe more Michelle Greep, like our books are kind of similar because
Yeah.
you read her books?
Yes. It's been a hot minute, but yes.
Okay. Well, a lot of them are, she switches between Regency and Victorian, but they're a lot more on the Gothic side too. So
Yes.
she's got like the suspense and the murder and stuff. So, and that way I feel like we're a lot alike. So, yeah, she would probably be my answer for that.
Yeah. I'm drawn way more towards, the Gothic-y side, not like Gothic in general, but like Regency Gothic. I love that
Right.
sort of stuff. And like Jamie Jo Wright, she's one who does like suspense and things. And because of me seeing your book, like you genuinely were the catapult for me to start reading and trusting that there's actual Christian fiction out there that isn't super cheesy. Like I love me Hallmark movies, don't get me wrong, but I don't love to like necessarily read Hallmark movies. Sometimes I do.
Right.
But I just had a feeling like with these covers, as gorgeous as they are, there's just no way that they're gonna be the cheesy kind. And they weren't. They definitely weren't. Like Hannah, you were very, very gifted. So just
Thank you.
that, and I am so excited for all your future books. And so why do you mainly write Regency era? Because you just love it. And it's like, it's gorgeous. And you're so good at it. You're so good.
Thank you.
You are. We were reading Beneath His Silence this month for the Patreon book club. And I had read Beneath His Silence, but it had been just a while. And I read through it so quickly that it's like, I didn't really remember it. But I read it again for this month. That way I would also be like, I just don't remember everything about it. And so then rereading it, and it's like now knowing that was your first book that you wrote out of the 4 that you have published right now.
Yes.
I had no idea. For some reason, I thought that it was like the one right before, like your most recent one or something like that. I have no idea. I got your order all out of whack. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But to know that, and to know that that was actually like you were quite a bit younger when you wrote that one. That is amazing.
Thank you.
You're so good. You're so good. So did you have to do like a lot of research and stuff whenever it came to Regency, or did you just watch a ton of Jane Austen?
So actually, the first Regency book that I wrote, which was actually this book, Garden of the Midnights, but it was an earlier manuscript of this. Like I ended up rewriting the book, but it was that story. And when I started it, just to be honest, I didn't even know it was called the Regency era. Like I was so out of the loop, and I just had it pictured in my mind, like the setting, the time frame, but didn't really do a lot of research because I was a lot younger then. And I just wrote the story. And then later I was like, okay, I need to actually research and like figure out what I'm doing. And I ended up, I wrote them out of order, but I wrote this one as the next, Beneath the Silence as the next Regency. And that's when I did like the biggest load of research because I just wanted to really wrap my mind around the whole Regency era before I like stepped back into another book. So, but now that I'm like feel more in the groove of it and I'm more familiar with the time period and stuff, it's not a lot of research. I still constantly research like with every scene that I'm writing, but it's not as overwhelming as the first book.
I'm sure. Yes. Well, you can definitely tell that there's a lot of thought that's put into that too, because I can't imagine trying to write about a time period that we literally never lived through. And we also don't know anybody who's lived through that, like it would be really weird if we did. So I'm always fascinated when anybody can take that and bring it to life in such a way where it's not like, oh, they're trying way too hard, or, there's too many of like what we would consider their common phrases, but back then they're probably like, we like never said that. You know what I mean? So you're very, very good with that, and just giving you so many props on that because you're like, you did phenomenal. Truly. And so do you have a favorite out of any of your books, or are they all just kind of like, they're all your babies, you can't choose one over the other?
It does feel like that. It's like a mother picking her favorite child. I don't know. I feel like it probably is Garden of the Midnights just because that's the one that I started with in the Regency era, and that's the one I
Yeah.
wrote twice. And just, I don't know, the story in that one, I just felt a lot closer to it. The characters really felt like, I don't know, I just felt like I knew them really well. So I would say that was probably my favorite so far.
Yeah, which is also just a phenomenal book. They're all phenomenal, but so I think that When Tomorrow Came will always be like my top favorite just because it was the first one. And it was just, I'm just obsessed with Heath and Anne. Like their characters, I don't know what it was about them that just really struck a chord with me. I loved them. And so I think that had to do with it. But then the next favorite is Garden of the Midnight. I love that.
Oh.
And honestly, that was also the one where it was like, that cover. I love the lighting on it. I don't know. All of your covers. Seriously, I literally couldn't pick a favorite one. Thinking about it, I thought that I could, and now that I'm really thinking about it, it's like no, because they're all just stunning, but in their own way. But I feel like they perfectly encompass exactly what's going on in the book. It doesn't feel like mismatched, you know. And I can stand when there's a book cover that just does not match the insides. So yeah, definitely judge your books by your covers because they're so good. And so, okay, so this is just like a random little question for you, just a fun question. So if you were trapped on an island, what 3 books would you want to be trapped with? It doesn't have to be your books. It could be any books.
Right. Okay, well, I think first would be the Bible. That would be a good first pick. And then secondly, I would probably honestly pick a Jane Austen book just because I feel like there's so much in them. Like if I was really bored on the island for years, like I feel like I could slowly go through it many times and still catch stuff that I never caught the first time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that. And then for the third book, I don't know. I don't have like a favorite book.
Yeah.
So I would probably just pick maybe like a new Terry Blackstock book or Lynette Eason book, just something that was really action packed that I had never read before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, that makes sense too, though. I never would have thought like, well, how about I take a book I've never read? And it's like, well, that's actually quite brilliant because then you have something new while you're stuck on the island. I love that.
Right.
I love that. Never crossed my mind. Wow, Hannah, you're just opening all sorts of doors for me right now. Okay, and so because you are a Christian author, were you nervous about trying to ensure that there was the Christ aspect in your books? Like, were you afraid, well, that's going to definitely dwindle my, the people who might want to read it or anything like that? Was there any hesitation, or did you know, like, no, 100%, this is going to be a faith book?
Yeah, I never considered writing other than Christian just because I feel like it would be too hard to separate, like because my whole identity is in Christ. And so I feel like to try to separate my writing would be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I do try to like I don't necessarily always have a strong faith message in my books. It kind of depends on the plot. Like I don't try to like stick it in there where it doesn't really feel like it belongs.
Right.
So if it's part of like if it makes sense in that character's life and it's part of their journey, then yeah, I definitely insert it in there. But if not, I don't try to like stick a strong faith theme in there. So all of my characters, pretty much the main characters, are Christians. So of course throughout the book they pray and God is still a part of their lives.
Yes. Yeah, and it is very, very cool to see that, just like you said, like there's usually, at least I've noticed that there's at least one person who has a level of faith in the book. But then I love when you see this other character who you've already grown to have like this deep, love of, and you want to like cheer them on and all this stuff, but to see them also wrestle through reality and life to then come to the realization that it's like, oh, actually, I do need Jesus, and I love to see that. And then to see them, and usually in like the hardest parts of the book, they return and they actually are like, okay, all my faith is in the Lord. And then to see the after effect of that as well. It's so cool to see. I love seeing that. I'm definitely one of those people who, like, when people tell me that they became a believer and they tell me their story, I'm over there just like sobbing because I'm like, yes, and I love that. So then in a book, I'm like, this person's not real, but like they're soul saved, you know? Like,
Right.
it is so true. And that's my friend Donna and she's also a believer. And so we talk about that a lot. And that was something that I was explaining to her about these books too. It was just like, it's not just that there's faith and that they're like, yeah, I'm a believer. And then they just kind of move on like for the rest of the book. But it is definitely like you see people wrestling with this because it's not always pretty. You know, being a believer is not always pretty. And becoming a believer is not always pretty, especially if it's later in life. Okay, and then I have one more question, and then if you don't mind, I have a couple people asking questions if you don't mind answering them either. Sure. So when you're not writing, what's a hobby that you have besides also taking gorgeous pictures?
So a recent hobby that I've really enjoyed is square dancing.
Oh my goodness, I love square dancing.
Really?
Fun. Yes.
Yeah. We just
you started with that.
Well, we just became introduced to it last summer. We were at a local festival and they were doing a square dance, and I was standing there watching, and like the romance side of my heart was like, this is the best thing ever. Like, I wish I could do this, but I'm a total klutz, like no coordination at all. So I was not going to do it. But somebody was like, come on, just jump in, you'll be fine. And so, yeah, I jumped in, was terrible at it, but we just kept hitting local dances all year long. And now I'm like, this is so fun.
Yes, I love that. So one of my all-time favorite movies is 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm obsessed with that movie because it's just wonderful. Like in every area, it's just wonderful. But the dancing scene, I was always like, that is so cool. I could never do that. And then as I grew up and I finally was able, like, I had a group of friends and they were all interested in some sort of dancing. So we started doing, like, we would do two-step, we would do swing dance, we would do square dance, like any of the dances. And I was like, I am living my 7 Brides and 7 Brothers dream right now. And it is fantastic. Like, am I good at it? No, but I'm living it and I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, it is fun. It's so satisfying when, you know, like everybody's moving the way they're supposed to and it's all fluid. And then, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
I kind of wish like that was still a thing because back then they did do a lot of dancing and you did have to know all the dances. And I'm like, I kind of wish that was a thing. But I also have many friends who are very thankful it's not, you know? So it's like, oh, well, I'm happy that we still get to experience it.
Yeah.
I honestly did not expect that to be your answer. That is so much fun. That is so much fun. And are you, I don't even know how old you are. Is it okay if I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 25.
Okay. 25. Okay. I was assuming you were probably somewhere around there, but I was like, oh, but what if she's like still actually a teenager? Because I don't know. I didn't even think to look that up, to be honest. Okay. So 25. So is your job, your writing, is that all that you're doing, or do you do other things? Like, what is it?
So the writing is more of a side thing that I do in the mornings or the evenings. But my actual job is the book cover design.
Okay.
Yeah. So I work for like 4 publishers and then the individual authors. So
yeah, that is just so cool. It is so cool. And I've heard of people who do the designing of the covers, but actually like talking to someone, that's so fascinating. And I love that you literally love like every aspect of the book. That's so cool. That is so cool. Okay, and just random question on that, because now I'm interested. Do you have to, do you get to or have to read the book before you design the cover, or do they just kind of tell you, like, this is kind of what I'm wanting, and then you do that?
Yeah, so I don't read the book. I would probably never get anything done if I had to read all the books. But I have a form that just asks them a lot of general questions, their book information, and then I ask them specific questions to help me get an idea of what they're wanting, like color preferences, other book covers they like, and then I also have a section for them to just give their idea. And so once they finish filling out that form, I kind of just read through it and go from there as far as like what direction to go for the cover.
Gotcha. Okay, that's so cool. I love that. Okay, so I have a couple people that are coming in, and I'm just going to go through these comments kind of quickly. There we go. It's going to catch up. Okay, the bookcomer's saying hello. Hi, friend. This is my husband. He's saying hello, and I'm sure he's fangirling as much as I am. Amal, hello. How are you? This is my best friend, Donna. Hannah, do you base your characters and their development on people in your life? That's actually a good question.
That is a good question. And that's a funny question because I feel like most of my life I did not do that.
Yeah.
I think I was like so afraid, like, because when you first start writing, like, it's a little scary because you feel like everybody's going to automatically assume that the main girl character is like you. And so,
Yeah.
like, everything you're putting about her thoughts and her life, I'm like, they're going to think that I think that. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But so I've purposely, like, did not base characters on people, including myself. But I have found, like, in recent years, certain people, maybe not even necessarily somebody I'm close to, but just a certain person will stand out to me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, they're so quirky. Like, I really want to base a character off them and just kind of use some of their mannerisms or whatever. I don't know. So I have done that more recently.
Yeah. See, I would be the person that'd be reading the book if I knew you and be like, wait, is this god awful person me? Like, is she basing the villain? Like, am I the villain? You know what I mean?
It was
like,
funny.
I'm not telling her any stories because I don't want her to use them.
It was funny because one of my old youth pastors at a church I used to go to, he came up to me and he was like dead serious. He was like, I want to be the fat Undertaker in your next book. And he was like, you can have me die. You can make me a murderer. He's like, I don't care. The fat Undertaker, make it me. I was like, okay. So I did it. And he was like,
all the levels you want to achieve in life. That's what you
I was like, why did you do that? But okay.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That is so funny. Yeah, I don't want to be that, Hannah. So, all right. This is my mom. She says, are you a by the clock worker or do you prefer to just write when the mood takes you? Which you were kind of saying you usually write in the mornings and the evenings, but that's also true. Are you more of like a mood writer?
A little bit, yes. Probably I used to be more of a mood writer than I am now. But where I'm on deadlines and stuff, I kind of have to be more scheduled with it. So I try to write in the mornings pretty faithfully, but sometimes like I skip. So sometimes I might like, I don't know, I'm inconsistent. Sometimes I might write like a few hours in the morning all week, or then not write the next week and then write for hours on Saturday. So
Yeah.
it kind of depends on what's going on in life and what I have time for.
Yeah. Oh, and I get that. I get that. That is so cool. Okay, Grandma Susan. I knew that she would be here and she'd be so excited to see you. Okay, Hannah, thank you so much for writing Christian fictions. Yes, I totally agree. Your enthusiasm and passion shine through in your books. Your books are rereads for me. How is your fifth book coming along?
It is coming along very well. I have just got to the point when I first start a novel, it's always a little bit like, I don't know, like I've got so much in my mind that I want to try to like portray in the beginning to like, you know, get people's attention and start it off well. So like I feel like there's so much pressure in the beginning. And then once I get a few chapters in, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can actually like feel myself being taken away by the story. Like it's not like me thinking so hard. It's like I'm actually like into this world. And so I've just now hit that point with this novel where I'm like really in the groove of it, really starting to feel like I know the characters. And so that's always the funnest point for me is like getting into it. Yeah. So yeah, it's going good.
That is awesome. Do you have like a list of names that you have for characters that like, I want to use this down the road? Or do you just say, this is the story I'm writing and this is just kind of the name that seems to fit?
Yeah, I normally just, I normally pick the names right before I start the book. And what I do is actually, I found this old magazine that was from like, I don't know, it started in the late 1700s, clear through the 1800s. I don't remember when it ends, but it's called the Gentleman's Magazine. And it was published in England, so it's like completely historically accurate. And in the back of every magazine, they have an index of names. And so I have been able to find those online, and then I'll go to those index of names and pick, like, mix and match them and pick ones that I really like. And so, yeah.
That is awesome.
I always enjoy the name picking process.
Yeah. What a cool find that is, though, to have that magazine that actually like, fits for you. That is amazing. Wow, that was definitely the Lord being like, here, let me just help you. You know? That way you don't name one, you know, like, I don't know, whatever a really common name is.
Right, yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, and Cece said, how did you come up with the name for your cat?
Oh. So the cat that I have on my Instagram, I'm not sure which cat you're talking about, but I had one named Mr. Puddles, and that was the orange one. He passed away recently. But I
Aw,
have a new one now, and he's kind of a creamy beige color. And
yeah.
his name is Mr. Peter McGregor. And the inspiration for that was from Beatrix Potter because I was
Yes.
Beatrix Potter as a kid, and it's,
Oh my
I don't know,
goodness.
just the whole vibe of it. So
Yes.
yeah, Peter came from Peter Rabbit, and then McGregor came from the guy that chased him through the garden.
That is so funny. Okay, so this is a random question since you said Beatrix Potter. Have you ever read the books? They're by Susan Wittig Albert called The Cottage Tales of Beatrix Potter.
Mm-mm.
Okay, girl, those are super cute. If you love Beatrix Potter, it
Mhm.
is her. So basically, what she did was she took the actual story of Beatrix Potter
Mhm.
and then made this book series about her life where she's solving like random little mysteries, and they're not necessarily murder mysteries, they're just like mysteries, and then the animals that are in the life of Beatrix Potter, you also get to kind of hear like their thoughts that are going on, like they're having conversations with each other, but like no one else could hear them obviously because it's like
Yeah.
reality. They are so stinking cute. Guys,
I'll have to look them up. That's cool.
yes, I am obsessed with those books because they're clean, they're really really fun, and they're fast reads as well. And plus, I mean, I love anything that's like anything British, really. Let's be honest,
Right. Yeah.
and that's exactly what it is. And then
Oh,
animals, it's so cute. It's so cute.
yeah. I'll have to
You,
look that up. That's cool.
you would love it. Okay, hi Hannah, another Hannah. She has never read one of your books, but I have fallen in love with your personality and your love of Christ, picking up your books as soon as possible.
Oh.
And I believe you will. Hannah also has a YouTube, and she's called The Teacher's TBR, and she tends to love a lot of mysteries and things like that. So I'm like, yeah, you definitely need to pick up any of the books. Of course, I'm always going to say When Tomorrow Came is the best one to start with because that's what I did. But all the books are wonderful, wonderful. And she has a lot of respect and admiration for the commitment it takes to actually finish writing a book. When you start a book, do you already know where it's going to go, or do you just let it flow? I think that's also a good question.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when I first started, I was like, I don't need a plot. I'm just gonna see what happens.
Right.
And it worked out for the very first novel, but the second novel, I had basically no plot outlined and I just winged it. And at the end of the book, I was like, this is terrible. Like nobody can ever read this. So after that, I was like, I'm not like a over plotter. I do a general outline. But I still have a really good idea of like what's going to happen with the overall plot. And then as far as like the small stuff, I just make it up as I go. But
yeah, and which I feel like you kind of would have to do because
right,
I know even if I'm having like a thought process, it can change if I don't have like an actual like here's my borders and stuff. Hold on,
yeah.
You may say hi one more time.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey,
Now there's 3 Hannahs.
3 Hannahs.
okay. Your name is Piper for right now, I guess she said. Nope, that's her name.
Oh, that's funny. She's cute.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you. And she's saying, thank you for the interview. It's been so meaningful to me. Yes, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Guys, literally when I saw Hannah, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, I was so nervous just because I just absolutely adore your writing and I've adored getting to know you through Instagram, which sounds weird. Like, I'm sure it is so weird to have people who like know you, but they don't know you, and then they're like, but I know that like you have this cat or you have like this favorite dress or you live in this sort of house, like whatever it might be. And you're just like, yeah, totally. I totally get that. Yeah. We used to go to a church and I was a part of the worship team and it was like a pretty big church. And so I would have people that would come up to me and they talk to me about stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea who this person is, but because they see you, and like you're right. In a way, they knew stuff about you that you're just like, this is interesting, so.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is.
Oh, and this is cute. When you have kids, will you name any of them after your characters?
Ooh, that is a good question. I was just thinking the other day, there was a name, one of my characters' names, I was like, I should name my child that, and I forget now which name it was. So, I don't know, we'll see. I have a whole long list of potential names for my kids, but
Yeah.
I don't know if my husband will agree, so we'll see.
Yeah. That's fair. I thought I had all the names picked out. And then when I was pregnant with Piper, it was like I never, ever, ever had that on my list of names. Ever. And it was just one of those random things where it was like, oh, Piper Wren, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
such a pretty name. I love that name.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It actually means songbird. So she's probably not gonna be able to sing at all. Like that'll be her talent, is she has no talent. Hello, Summer. How are you? She's saying hello. And then at what age did you become a believer? Oh, that's a good question. Which I'm assuming was pretty young, since you were writing at 12 and you're writing about 12.
Yeah, so I was raised in church, and at 5 is when I asked the Lord to save me, and then I think I was 6 when I got baptized. So
wow, that is amazing. That is so cool. And okay, do you have any brothers or sisters, or is it just you? You have a sister, right?
I have 3 brothers and a sister. Yeah,
3 brothers and a sister. Okay, wow, I was not expecting that. That is. Are any of your characters based off of your siblings?
Not really. No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
None of your brothers have gotten on your nerves to the point where you're like, their character's dying.
No, not yet.
That would have been me with my brother. It's like, you're just not going to survive this very long.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that's all the questions that are coming in. That's all that I have for you. But Piper, she's telling you happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
For myself.
Oh, you're having a birthday for yourself?
Yeah, she has like a toy cake.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh my goodness. If you let her, she will tell you her entire life story. That's why we can't take her out in public, because she'll meet someone and then they know everything.
Yeah.
So,
okay. That's sweet. She's cute.
Yeah. Okay, and then this last one, do you ever threaten your family with making them a character?
No, I used to. I don't think I had it on a shirt, but I think I had this saying that I would tell my family when I was younger, and it was something like, don't make me mad or I'll kill you in my next book, or I don't know. It was something so cheesy, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, don't push my buttons.
You also have that.
Wow, pretty.
Yeah. Well, Hannah. Hey,
Whoa.
Bye.
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 Well, Hannah, thank you seriously so much for spending time with us. I mean, I know that you're busy, and so I'm so happy that you were able to make time and that you actually like read my message and didn't just ignore me. I'm so thankful for that. When can we expect your next book out? You did say it, but I forgot what date you said.
November 1st.
November 1st. Girl, that is soon.
No, it's coming.
Wow, but you're in the editing process of it, you said, right?
Yeah, well, technically just the final read through before it goes to the printer on August 8th. So
okay. Yeah. That is amazing. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited to read it. And okay, girlfriend. Where's the best place to buy your books at? So of course there's like the bookstores and stuff, but do you have a special place that it helps you more?
Not necessarily. Most people do buy on Amazon, if you're shopping online. And then as far as like in person, Books A Million, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then there we go. Well, I'll definitely make sure that whenever it comes out, I'll make sure to link it and everything. That way people can go and get their copy, because I will be first in line for a copy. So that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so excited. Hold on a second. Piper, close the door. Sorry. Since we live on a boat, she opens the door. I'm like, you cannot just hang out the door.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Well, again, thank you so much. And is there anything else that you need to share that has to do with your books that we might need to know?
I don't think so. No.
You have one coming out November 1st.
Yep.
What a way to kick off the Christmas season, because that is like the date we start decorating our boat or our house.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's I'll go get me a gift. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. And
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, and everybody, thank you guys for being here, for asking all the questions, and definitely go and pick up any of her books. They're all absolutely wonderful, and you can find all of them. I know for sure you can find all of them on Amazon, and then you can definitely find other ones sporadically at different stores for sure. All right. Well, until the next time, we will see you guys later. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Oh my goodness.